Well, greetings, ladies and gentlemen. This is me, Nick Michalak, and the exceptional Steve Frazier.
Hello, everyone.
It has been 15 years since the remake of Elm Street came out, and for what, almost 9 years?
9 years.
We've been saying absolutely never, this thing never happened and never existed. We're never going to talk about it.
Today's the day, folks.
We talked ourselves into it. We both came to the same idea at the same time about 6 months ago. And you texted me like, yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. We're going to rip the Band-Aid off.
Buckle up, everybody.
The remake of Nightmare on Elm Street, guys. So if by chance you have a copy of this film, get your timestamp to 0, turn on your subtitles to follow along with us, and we'll sync up with a countdown. So guys, in 3, 2, 1, play.
If you'd asked me 9 years ago if this was going to happen, I would have A, told you we won't be doing this in 9 years, but then B, no, of course not. Why would we do this piece of trash? What'd you call it earlier? Hot garbage or something?
Trash.
Hot trash.
I left my poster for the Wes Craven ritual on the wall, so we have a little good luck charm with us.
Okay.
But
so, if anybody has either been with us the whole time or has gone back, Nightmare on Elm Street, the Wes Craven original, was our very first commentary.
Because I knew it was one of your favorite films, so I figured like if we're going to start off Star Wars something that's very enticing to you.
It might be my favorite movie ever. And so in 2009, when they said, you know what, we're going to remake this thing.
All right.
Oh, I do love Rooney Mara, though.
We'll get to her.
Well, first I was mad.
First certain thing, yeah.
First I was really pissed.
Oh yeah, hot.
And then as the time went by, I said, you know what? I'm going to be the bigger man.
Sure.
And I'm an adaptation apologist. I don't mind a remake as long as you do it, as we've discussed, different than, better than.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe they can come up with a way, much like Friday the 13th did.
Yeah.
To make me enjoy it on a independent level.
Yeah, as we have an entire playlist on the channel for remakes we've covered, Chainsaw Massacre, Hills Have Eyes, list goes on.
Right. In some cases, we've done the original and the remake for comparison purposes.
Nightmare, Night of the Living Dead. We've dealt with a couple and they're like better than, some might be different but not quite as good as, but still it was experimenting some places. Sometimes maybe they didn't quite nail it all the way through.
So I said, you know what? That's fine. You're going to remake it. I will divorce myself from the original. I will go in
with a fair shake. Yes.
You tell me a story and let's see how we fare.
Right.
Okay? And by the way, this opening is great.
Yeah, visually. It's nicely designed.
And then we come to find out that the production crew here is going to make the movie basically in our hometown.
Yeah.
Like suburban Chicago. Literally in my backyard.
At the time.
So I come to find out that a gal that I have done promotional work with, she owned, her name is Judy, she owned a small independent bookstore in the town that I grew up in, Elgin, Illinois. Mm-hmm. And she reached out to me. She's very much in the know about town things.
Sure.
Being, on the Chamber of Commerce, all the things. And she and I worked together on film and novel adaptation things. Like, we've done a lot of promotion. I was still working at the theater at this time.
Yeah.
And she reached out to me and said, Elm Street's coming to Elgin. I know you're a fan. Yeah. They actually location scouted her bookstore for the bookstore scene in the movie.
Okay.
And she said, they're going to be using the cemetery in Elgin for the cemetery scene.
Yeah.
You should put in to be an extra.
Yeah.
She said, I'm already going to be an extra. I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
I don't want to be part of this movie, but to be an extra in a movie is really cool. Yeah. So I filled out the thing. I had to supply a headshot. I had to actually tell them what kind of car I had, and just in case they wanted to use me in a different way.
Right, yeah.
And ultimately, I was not selected.
Dodged a fucking bullet there, huh?
Well, yes and no. So it comes to be the day that they are filming the cemetery scene.
Yeah.
I had to work that day. Oh, there we go. They're iconic. I had to work that day, but the cemetery that they filmed in, literally in my backyard.
Yeah.
The property I lived on backed up to the cemetery. Huge acreage of cemetery. So I said, you know what, I'm going to leave my house a little early. I love Rooney Mara, by the way. I left my house a little early. I drove over to the cemetery. There were about 100 tents set up for the catering and all the things, right?
All deal.
So is he our Tina in this case? Like,
no,
not necessarily, right?
Not necessarily, no.
It's just, you know, Tina was set up to be kind of the original or first dream.
Well, I previewed a little bit of this last night just to get a little things
reminder,
percolating in my brain or whatnot. So he's set up, and then she's set up. Then the next character is set up. The Nancy of the film is set up after her.
Okay. So we have two Tinas and a Nancy. Got it. Okay. So I drive over. I see the whole, like, big Hollywood production thing in the cemetery, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm really missing out.
Yeah.
I'm so jealous.
Yeah.
My friend Judy is in the movie. Like, oh my God. And I went to work, and by the time the movie came out, I was pretty stoked.
Okay.
I was like, I think I'm ready to show me what you're offering.
Sure, yeah.
And then it happened.
Because I remember, I've looked back at our little conversation on Facebook posts.
Now, 2009 was also the same year that we worked together on your independent film that ultimately didn't come to fruition.
Yeah.
But that was the year we met.
Yeah.
And we got to hang out and shoot some scenes for that movie. I don't know, 4 or 5 scenes we shot for your... And we were friendly enough to text about this movie at the time. So now it's 15 years later, and when it comes out, and I'm sorry, what were you saying about our interaction?
Oh, I just recall that we had very lengthy things to criticize the film over right after it came out. That whole weekend, we're just going back and forth.
We're kind of in a very emo period here for everybody, right?
Yeah.
2009, everyone looks like they really getting into
crawling up inside themselves.
Right. They've got Fall Out Boy on the radio, and they're also from the Chicagoland area.
Yeah.
Fun fact, I checked the Wikipedia a little while ago just to read a couple things.
Some things.
The production for this movie began 15 years ago tomorrow, as we're recording this.
Fuck.
So a little bit of a link there, accidentally.
Yeah.
We didn't plan it that way. The release date was actually in
April 30th.
So, which was a few days ago. We're not releasing it on the anniversary. We had
all the things we want to hit on an anniversary, we weren't terribly fussed about this one.
Is her eye fucked up? Like, why is one eye, like, weird?
I don't know.
See how one eye's, like, kind of closed? You know what I mean?
I don't know. It might just be her hair falling in front of the one.
I don't know.
I don't know. I didn't notice.
Our left, her right looks more open than the other.
Oh.
That's going to bother me now. So, okay, you're going to give me the male is the one who, this isn't Tina who had the initial dream. Okay. Yeah. I will say, though, that this scene and his dream sequence felt like the same. You know what I mean? It didn't feel very...
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that...
different.
In my little preview things, like... I mean, in Craven's Ritual, it was little subtleties that kind of let you know it was a dream. There'd be some little, like there'd be some fog going across the thing that could make like a dreamlike state or whatnot. Well, it wasn't.
Also, Freddy didn't kill him with his own knife right there.
No.
Why?
I don't know.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm just saying, in Craven's Ritual, they weren't quite he didn't do quite as much of the stylized thing.
So this is the cemetery.
Yeah.
This is the one that I live. I've spent so many hours. Sometimes I'll just go here to like walk around and take photos. Bluff City Cemetery, Elgin, Illinois is the name of it. If there's any of my Facebook friends, I have like photos of this cemetery, like just walking around taking photos. It's really super cool. It's one of my favorite cemeteries, and it was literally my backyard.
But yeah, it was like, okay, if you're gonna go a stylized approach, like it would be nice if there was a different style between the two different types of sequences.
Dream and reality.
Yeah.
Since I never purchased this movie,
Right.
I never was able to pause long enough on anything to figure out the exact spot.
Okay.
It's a very hilly cemetery. It's
Sure. Expansive.
very expansive. So I know the general area that it's in, but I don't know the exact spot. Let me look for my friend Judy here. She's an older lady, not older, but middle aged. She's blonde.
But our age now.
Probably a little older than that then. And I know she's in here somewhere because this is the scene that she filmed. I want to say there's a scene where they're all walking down the hill to the cars. I don't know. Well, I'll keep a peek out here. Yeah, this is a great shot. Like, they picked the perfect spot in the cemetery. And the whole thing looks like that, so...
Yeah. I mean, this is definitely an era where we were getting a lot of big productions going off into Illinois, because there were probably, like, fresh tax breaks and everything like that.
Yeah, they changed the tax code in the late aughts and made it more... Friendly, yeah. That might actually have been her in that last scene. Yeah, I think there's a scene where you can see her face, but I've stopped paying attention to what's happening. I don't know which characters are who and what. Doesn't it piss you off though that like in the very first kill, the glove isn't the death weapon?
That's a bit of a misbeat, yeah.
Like using other things is a later sequel trope. You know what I mean? Like in the first movie, now granted, he does, there's the rope and there are other dream elements.
Well, when Tina gets it, the first time, she does get the slashes across her gown.
Right.
And then later on, it's Freddy actually slashing her with the knives.
To establish the weapon.
Yeah.
And then the great thing is that the Rod
Lane,
establishes
makes him seem guilty, so deflects the suspicion of anyone.
But it also shows that that things in your dreamland can be used against you, not just him.
Right.
Same thing with Glenn.
Right.
Rooney Mara is just a wonderful actress. I don't remember if this was before Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Yeah, well, the one little quote she had in retrospect. Well, wait a minute.
Well, that looks fucking awful.
Fact is, this looks worse than The Frighteners, and Frighteners came out 14 years earlier than this. 1996 CGI. That looks way better than what we just saw.
Well, okay.
And the 1984 version You don't need CG. They didn't need... All they had was a latex wall.
Right.
I got the thing... What did they do that they couldn't have done the same way?
Well, here's my argument. Why have it at all?
Why have it at all? It's also the thing, because...
So...
We'll get into it, the fact that this film constantly is just like copy and paste moments, copy and paste stuff.
And we'll chalk that up right there as number one.
Number one.
Well, I don't know if we're going to remember to count them, but
right.
If you want to have an homage, like, that's fine.
That's fine.
But there's a way to do it and a way not to do it. And the way not to do it
is just throw it out there with...
is to basically shoot the same scene.
Because what that scene do anyway? In the original, it's this kind of like lingering kind of suspense that's kind of creeping into the film as we go into the nighttime, and
in the original film,
Nancy's sleeping and the thing comes out as almost a haunting, kind of like just teasing you a little bit.
Nancy is sleeping in Tina's house.
Yes.
Where Tina is about to die.
Yes. That's a teaser for nothing. You could have cut it out. It would make no difference in the narrative of the story.
Nancy was sleeping in her own house, if I'm not mistaken, right there.
Yeah. She wasn't sleeping at all.
Well, sure.
That's the thing.
Well, I'm saying that
Freddy
occurred.
still came out and did something and no one was asleep.
Right. And
which
also,
is our later sequel debate on the whole thing. It's like, the fuck is who's asleep right now for anything to be happening right now?
And the side of this garage looks like a pawn shop there with all these little...
But, as you're saying before, Dragon Tattoo, because there's a retrospective interview from Rooney Mara saying she almost quit acting after this film, because, like, if this is the best I'm getting, why am I even doing it at all?
Well, Dragon Tattoo's a fucking 10. Then she gets
the script for The Social Network, and Fincher comes in for the save.
Yeah.
And,
what a run.
Right.
Those two.
But, I mean, talk about the script, because interesting names. Wesley Strick is one of them. He wrote the initial draft.
For this?
Yeah, he was one who wrote Wolf for Mike Nichols.
Okay.
And a bunch of other stuff.
Which you're fond of. And I'm not.
You were kind of...
I'm on the fence.
About it, yeah. Did some uncredited rewrites. Batman Returns, a bunch of things, little things here and there. And
coming soon to the channel is a retrospective on Batman Returns.
The home video history, yeah.
Yeah.
But then it gets rewritten by Eric Heiserer, who ends up doing, like, the Thing prequel, where he does, like, Lights Out and Arrival for Denis Villeneuve and a couple other things here and there that I think are very good works.
Arrival? He did Arrival?
Arrival.
The guy that wrote a draft for this wrote Arrival.
Uh-huh.
Arrival's great, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
I don't love alien movies. That was a new take. I love that movie.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But he had a thread up on Twitter that's kind of made the rounds since then, about 6 years ago, saying... Basically, they took the script and a lot of the idea. He was trying to work with someone else on the script, saying we want to get away from tropes. We want to subvert the tropes. So, like a scene where characters are driving down the road and you think one of them fell asleep, and then instead of having Freddy just standing in the middle of the road, Freddy can show up anywhere because it's a surreal environment. So they would have him like creep up in the backseat of the car. Then he attacks one of them. He shows up on set one day. Oh, Freddy's in the middle of the road for this whole thing. Oh, and this other scene, we didn't have enough dialogue at the beginning of the film, so we took dialogue from page 87 and slapped it into the earlier part of the film. So the people involved, the producers, the director of the film, everything like that, they were just shredding up the script as they went along. Like all this stuff that everyone was very excited about, they kind of signed on to the film for. It's like, oh, it's all disposable, it's all interchangeable. Throw this idea out and...
That's
that.
Unfortunate.
It's like, you might as well just shuffle up the pages and who gives a shit? And start throwing stuff out.
Springwood High School here, the exterior is Elk Grove High School, which is about...
Yeah, I read about that.
I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes from where we sit right now.
Oh, Elk Grove, maybe about 20 minutes of the stretch.
And that was what was so cool about... You know, there was kind of an aura around town.
Right.
When they were making this, it was like, man, the Hollywood production is coming back to suburban Chicago.
Yeah.
They're using all these locations, one literally in my own backyard.
Yeah. And, I mean, it's not like they didn't get good talent in the film. I mean, Thomas Dekker, always a good actor. We've talked about him before. He was in Village of the Damned.
Sure.
where he called this film a horrible mess.
Yep.
Direct quote. And like you saw Clancy Brown there, Connie Britton, all very good actors in the entire thing. Morrow's exceptional actress.
Sure. No, you wouldn't know
But
it from this movie.
Well, that's
but
the thing. If you don't write the materials, like no one's going to shine if you don't write something that's worth a damn. And from a lot of accounts, it was like a rush production to a certain degree. It's like they were just trying to get it in, get it out, like a manufactured production line type of thing. We're just going to zip it and package it and throw it out there, or just
Wake up, wake up.
And then we got to talk about
Jackie Earle Haley?
Yeah. I mean, another guy who is a very good actor. But I think there's just a lot of missteps in what they did for him in the portrayal and even the design of the character.
I do think that the makeup looks very burn victim-y, which I do like.
Yeah.
The more taut skin, less pepperoni
Right.
pizza.
And the trap you're in with Freddy is like, it's too much of an iconic character to redesign it that much. I mean, even when they did a redesign on New Nightmare, it was a little contentious.
Right. Now,
And the thing
they
is-
redesigned Pennywise from the Tim Curry to
Right.
the Skarsgård.
But at least that's based on a novel.
Right.
That you can retake the entire original context and kind of represent it the way the author intended for it.
Sure.
So that's good.
Right. I'm just saying there's
Right.
ways to do it.
Right. But at least that thing has a precursor text to it to say, hey, well, we're going back to this and going off on what the original text was. With Freddy, it's just like, if you redesign it too much, it no longer quite feels like the same character. But every time I see Haley in the outfit, it just feels like he's a guy in cosplay.
Yeah, I've seen people at the conventions look more like Freddy Krueger than Jackie Earle Haley does.
Roberts does.
Yeah.
Roberts.
Correct. Than Jackie Earle Haley does.
Yeah.
And yes, obviously they don't want to do makeup to make him look just like that. I do feel like
So he's got such a different bone structure to his face, but
Earle Haley, well, I guess it's just Haley, right? Earle is his middle name?
I guess so. There's no hyphen or anything.
So,
Or
Haley,
just called Jackie if you want.
right. Like I never know.
Yeah.
He kind of lumbers about almost like Tony Caesar did in the costume.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, he doesn't.
he's
yeah,
not
when
very-
I was watching, it's like he doesn't really have a body language. The character, he just kind of like hits,
Right.
turns
Fam-
around and hits a mark.
Famously, Robert Englund's slouch was because of the weight of the glove.
Yeah, it was a heavy piece of work.
And that gave him a gait
Yeah.
that was
Allowed him
iconic,
to
right? In the shadow.
Slink into the character.
So, right off the bat, there's two things that I feel like their choices with the Freddy character are already worse. Number one, we see way too much of him.
That's it. There's
We
way too much exposed in light.
too much light, and also Jackie Earle Haley does not shut the fuck up in this movie.
Yeah, it's too
He
much.
talks way too much.
Well, we're gonna get a lot deeper into the plot elements because they just it's too much to get into this early, but.
Well, even
There's
in that
there's-
original scene, like,
Right,
you know, he starts talking and he's walking around
Right,
and he's, you know, it's like they wanted to combine elements of the sequels with the large production Dreamland.
Well, I was watching the featurettes on the disc, and it's like people were saying like, it ties into the plot elements I was alluding to and everything. Like, oh well, the films never gave Freddy a reason why he's killing these kids. Yeah, they did from the very first film they did. Certainly in the sequels it gets a lot more contentious, but at least in the original film, there's a direct cause and effect motive involved with what he's doing, everything like that. Sins of the parents visit upon the kids.
Right.
Like, did you watch the movies? Did you watch the first movie that you're trying to remake?
I mean,
Because
the entire...
context is there. The motivation is clear as day.
Right. Crazy Marge has an entire monologue.
Ronnie Blakely spends 3 minutes talking about it.
Right. It's her most iconic scene.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
probably in the history of cinema. She's Academy Award nominated.
Yeah.
And people remember the 3 minutes by the boiler
Right. Right.
more than anything else she's
Right.
ever done.
Sure.
They've changed up, maybe not for the worse, but the timeline or the narrative here of who's having bad dreams and who's whatever.
Right. It's not 100% carbon copy, but the big beats in terms of the horror stuff is what they copy and paste from the original, and just like, well, are you going to do anything new?
Should we say falling asleep in the classroom is copy number 2?
Yeah.
Or because it wasn't identical.
It's not the exact same thing, but it's at least the same trapping.
It's the same point in the story, right?
Yeah.
And I don't mind the idea that, they've taken the idea that they're having the same dream. Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
That is a thing, right? Like that's too broad to be considered just a copycat maneuver.
Mm.
I do feel like that's something that was kind of missing from the later sequels.
Mm.
Everyone was so focused on not believing somebody.
Right, it's always the same old.
That
you have to convince me of this thing, despite that the 30 people have already died in this franchise in the same damn town, on the same damn street.
Right. Then it is, there's less focus on we're all having the same psychosis.
Right.
Which was brought up in 3.
Yeah, Dream Wars definitely is thorough. That.
Did you see that the lady that was the head of the asylum in Weston Hills, she passed away this week as we write this, or talk this.
Yeah, she was also in Carrie when we did that one. We would figure that one out on the go.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, anyway, that actress passed away this week.
Oh.
And I don't remember her name, unfortunately, so I can't give her a proper credit, but... So here we've got the, foggy background, which I guess is to imply dreamland. I'm not really paying attention enough to know if this is a dream or not, honestly.
Priscilla Pointer, wasn't it?
Yeah. I like that. The dog is killed with the slashes. That's fine. Even her running and looking back, is done exactly the same as Tina's.
Yeah. And she has the exact same death scene.
We'll get there.
Yeah. I guess we can talk about the director of the film, Samuel Baylor, who was another one who's Michael Bay, bring him up from the music video world and slap him in. This is only film director credit.
Is there anything of note that he directed in the music video world?
Nirvana's Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Oh.
Metallica's Until It Sleeps. He did a bunch of I was going to say Marilyn Manson, but no one gives a shit about him no more.
Now...
there was someone he worked with a lot. Give me a second. He did the Blind Melon No Rain video.
That was kind of a big shot from the trailer there, right? Him against the chalkboard.
He did a bunch of Green Day stuff.
Oh, I love that.
From 2000s and everything.
You know I'm a big Green Day fan.
Yeah.
Huge. So this guy, Smells Like Teen Spirit, one of the most influential songs in the history of music.
Yeah. But it's always a thing. Sometimes you get some guys come up with that thing and they hook into it real fast. They real easy type of transition into from a visual, something that's just all visuals, to something that can actually tell a story.
Well, David Fincher, we just covered him.
Yeah, Fincher. And there's a slew of other ones that are maybe not as notable in that regard, but sometimes some of these guys that Bay brought up from that world, they just kind of stunk. They just couldn't. They couldn't put together good screenplays. Not that I'm not saying they're writing it, but at least as a director, shepherd the production along to make sure you're telling a good story and know how to execute the script in a very good way. So sometimes they're a little bit more hooked on the visual element instead of working with actors, working with the story, stuff like that.
If you are asking me to believe that this film is a standalone film and lives in its own universe and nothing else exists, then you cannot directly copy the source material shot for shot.
Yeah. And apparently it was Heiser who was battling against, I don't know if it was a producer, studio, or something like that.
And that's not as well done, by the way.
Yeah, no.
She just bounced around in the ceiling like a goddamn vampire.
It's just a bunch
around.
of wire work, yeah. But apparently, someone on production was pushing to make this, like for the WGA, this is a sequel, not a remake, so we don't have to give Wes Craven a paycheck for his credit.
Oh my god.
It's not based on his screenplay. It's a sequel now. Because I don't think there was a credit for Wes Craven at the top of saying characters based on.
It did say.
Okay.
It did say based on
But
characters
he would probably
created.
get a story credit, particularly if it was based on.
His original.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
How can WGA look at the two different scripts saying, oh, well, these are the exact same scene, these are the exact same scene, a lot of these characters are kind of like the exact parallels. How can you not go through? I mean, the WGA is pretty thorough on these things.
Yeah, he did get a credit as based on characters created by.
Yeah, but not a story credit, which he would get if they allowed it to be. I mean, I don't know. It's also, because they did the exact same thing on the Friday reboot thing, saying like they're betting against Victor Miller on the whole thing because he's like, you're doing a remake. So a remake would be based on the thing I wrote back in 80
Right.
or whatever the hell it was.
79, yeah.
79, 80. And they successfully say, no, it's a sequel. It's a sequel, but it's not a sequel. It's a reboot. Using elements from his film, along with like part 2, part 3, part 4. So someone at Platinum Dunes, I don't know, is crawling up their asses the wrong way.
I will say, now this. Okay, so in this version of the story, Jesse, who is our Rod Lane,
Yeah.
goes to Nancy's house after the murder.
Yeah.
Now, because she's not present,
Right.
she.
No eyewitness.
There's
What
no
happened?
eyewitness. Not that there was an eyewitness in the original,
Well, but at least there's something to say about
right,
what you heard and,
right.
and then
There was a little bit of suspicion,
context of the scenario.
but there creates more doubt
Yeah.
in this version
Yeah.
that Jesse, did the murdering.
Yeah.
So here's a change that I like.
Sure.
Because it creates an opportunity for a different narrative.
Yeah.
And we can go down
Branch it out
a different
ways.
path.
Yeah.
Right. So it's much like in Pet Sematary.
Right.
The remake to Pet Sematary, which we've covered on
Yeah.
here. The original, one of my favorite horror movies of
Yeah.
all time. The sequel, or I'm sorry, the remake, they decided we're gonna
All
have
the pivot point.
we're gonna have a different child be the comebacker.
Yeah.
Now you're gonna tell me a different story, and I am all here for it. Okay,
Yeah.
tell me a different story.
Yeah.
What they did was they
They
relied
dovetailed back around to pretty much the exact same story by the last 20
Right.
minutes of the film.
right. So they squandered their own opportunity.
Right. You know, got tempted too much by their own love or appreciation for the original and just like, we just want to do the same thing again. Well,
Right.
yeah,
So it was
well,
a change for the sake
creatively
of change,
bankrupt, yeah.
not for the sake of making it different.
Right.
Which sounds weird, but they didn't. They even kept the house number the same. I don't know if you noticed this.
Oh, well, that's...
They made it 1428, and the house looks like a similar house.
It could be on the same block, yeah.
Right.
The same architecture.
Which again,
It's fine.
it's
It's fine,
too
but,
much.
But yeah.
If that was the only thing,
Right. If it looked like Halloween 5 Gothic Mansion, we're talking a different story now because it's different continuity.
which is fine.
Right.
Like, to
Exactly.
me, like, there's too many little things. You need to pick one or two.
That's my thing.
When you have all of them, now it's the same movie.
Right.
but worse.
Right.
Like,
I think it's
when you really...
somewhat similar to the arguments I had with some of the new Halloween films. Like, you're constantly doing fan service, but then you kind of swerve off, maybe do something a little bit different, but then you go back to the fan service. So it's like, pick a lane. Which way are you going? Are you going to constantly do homage after homage and copy and paste and carbon copy things? Or are you going to try to do something with a fresh take on it?
When you really break it down, did you have to have Jesse in the room, suspected and going to jail and following all those same story beats?
No, you couldn't have.
If you'd have just had Nancy, I'm sorry,
our Tina character,
our Tina character, whatever her name was.
Yeah.
If you'd have had her die, and then
there's just a mystery around it.
The mystery and the idea that everyone's dreaming about the same character, and that drive the story forward. Now you've got my interest.
Yeah.
But so here's the bookstore that they ultimately chose. But they did scout my friend Judy's bookstore. Sure. Ultimately, it was not what they were looking for. I think this one is actually in the city, like downtown. I don't remember. But you get what I'm saying. Like, they had opportunities to go down different roads. Right. I like that. Computer engine sleep mode. That's nice.
Piece of work, yeah.
Like, there are a few things about this that I think could have been great. Now, the little girl character, we glossed over this because we were talking.
Okay, yeah.
At the funeral scene at the cemetery.
Yeah.
Nancy had a vision of a young girl that was slashed, and then found her own clothing that was slashed in a box in the attic, and then Freddie said, "Remember me."
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're caught up there.
Yes.
That is different.
Yes.
Like, that's a different path. So I'm like, okay, they're trying to give us a different story, but then on the way, they say, well, you need to have all these scenes right out of the original movie.
It almost feels like a production at war with itself on a creative level. Not saying I have evidence of exactly what they...
I love this. Like, this is great. Go ahead. That little scene of Freddie sitting around a table of little children. Right. Like, ooh, that got me. Like, that made me feel something.
Sure.
Which... I do want to talk about the creative difference of the Freddie backstory.
Yeah,
I don't know if you want to talk about it when it happens.
Let's give it a little bit of time.
Okay. Because
let me finish the whole thing.
Yes, please. Sorry.
Not like I have any evidence of exactly what the grand story was that Heiser or anyone else really was kind of going for, but it feels like, okay, they have certain elements where they're trying to do a little bit of a different trajectory on the story, but then it feels like almost like a studio note. Oh, you should have this sequence in it from the original. That one. We should have a couple of things that feel very familiar to the audience, so they're just replaying the same moment, so we're not going too different on them. It feels like a note from someone up on the hierarchy of the filmmaking chain, saying, "Oh, screenwriter, we should put these little beats in here to repeat them from the original or something like that." It just doesn't seem like it would be from the same mind, trying to do slightly different trajectories on the story and do little things here, and then I'm just going to get lazy and just like I'm going to copy and paste the scene from the original in here. Like they got tired of thinking about things for an hour or whatnot, just like I'll just slap it in here.
And all of the things that are different than the original are the things that I think are positive about this movie. Right. Look at the way he just kind of...
Yeah. I mean, I like... Well, when he actually does it, if he does it here, he does kind of a twitchy little thing with the fingers and everything. It's one little mannerism that he puts into the performance I think is a positive overall.
Sure.
But there was a note on set. There's another channel on YouTube. One of the guys, he ended up kind of going off and being involved. He was up in Milwaukee, and he kind of came down to be involved with the entire production as like a stand-in, anything like that, because he was about the same proportions of Kyle Gallner in the film. And they said, "Well, we want to make you the stand-in for the guy, so just like come in." Like you said, lighting and focal lengths and stuff like that. Right. You just stand in for him.
Yeah, stand-in is a very thing. It's a big thing. It's a
little bit of a step forward and things and whatnot, but
is that the twitchy thing you were talking about?
Yeah, a little bit. Not kind of, sort of, but it was a thing that.
What? He's swearing? I didn't fucking think so.
Yeah. But it was one of the things that apparently Haley was just walking through one day when they're doing stuff, and he said, "Man, I just watched the first film for the first time since it came out. One of the worst things I've ever seen in my life."
Jackie or Haley said that.
Yes.
Well, fuck that guy.
Meanwhile, on the featurettes on the Blu-ray, he's saying, "Oh, Robert Englund, he does such a masterful job," and all this type of stuff. And
so you think that is also lip service to the production studio? New Line?
I think so. I mean, most of the stuff on this Blu-ray is all kind of fluff piece stuff. It's not like I didn't even think about even throwing in the Never Sleep Again documentary to hear anything from that.
I don't think it covers it.
I don't know.
I don't remember it.
That thing came out right about the same time this did.
Right, and I don't.
So I
think it just teases
lip service.
No, I don't think it has anything.
They didn't do a full thing on it then. So.
Why are you talking this much?
Yeah. And all this dialogue sounds like it's ADR'd in. I know it's because they probably did a bunch of like deepen the bass and the voice and whatnot. It just sounds a little patched into me.
So so I was going to say I didn't like the idea that they would just introduce medicines, but the fact that it's his medicine for something different, I think is an
Fine.
Okay, right.
Robert has said a few things about the film. I think I watched a clip online where it feels like he talking about not long after the film came out, so he didn't want to say anything too much. He was talking about, right before they released this film, they put out the Blu-ray box set and everything. He just felt like, everyone was all watching it, and they're all like too familiar with it, and thought it was like too soon after the release of the Blu-ray thing. Much later on, he just pretty much says like he felt like there was like a lack of empathetic characters in the film.
Well, right. We don't care about the people already. I mean,
Right.
These two maybe a little bit. But
A little bit. It's the one thing I remember criticizing the film. I was like, yeah, I understand they're kind of like sleep-deprived characters, but everyone just looks like they're fucking bored out of their minds in every scene.
And they all look and feel the same.
He looks like he's 2 seconds from falling asleep as it is.
No
one's got any energy in there's no charisma in the performances that really kind of attach yourself to anyone, really.
What I really like about the original and is because of the backstory of the parents, the sins of the father, right?
Yeah.
Because of that element, the children characters all have a very specific relationship with their own parents.
Right.
Tina's parents are very dismissive, right?
Right.
Like, they're not involved in her life.
Yeah.
The mom's remarried. They're away in Vegas for the weekend. Like, they're not in her life.
Yeah.
Nancy's mom's an alcoholic. Their relationship is so well established.
Right.
Her relationship with her dad.
Yeah, Don Thompson. He's the one who's really just affectionate towards her, but obviously the mother worn out in where the divorce was. And so it's Marge with Nancy and not Don Thompson, which is an odd scenario to begin with.
And now this is the first scene where we're actually getting any sort of real, connection between these two.
Expansion on a relationship.
And we're 40 minutes in.
Right.
Like,
it's really only the second scene Britain's had the film since the cemetery. It's only the first scene she had since the cemetery, really. And that was 20 minutes.
With any real dialogue.
Like 25 minutes ago.
Right. And it kind of... Okay, so Nancy asks, do I have any connection to these other people?
Mm-hmm.
And she kind of looks distraught and says, I don't think so. Like, there isn't enough there for me to think the opposite.
Right.
Like, if
But then we got this little beat where...
Right, okay, so... All right, that's fine.
It's a nice piece of camera work in that regard, kind of looking at her almost voyeuristically.
Sure.
Like she's kind of distant from the audience.
Starting to remember.
Yeah, so it's
which we already established that there's...
a little bit of something.
And that's different.
Yeah.
Right. And here we...
And then we're just going right back into...
Another beat right out of the original.
Another repeat. It was like every time they have a little bit of something that feels like, oh...
this is what's different.
We're kind of breeding a little bit of something different. We just slap you with the same old thing. And this... We haven't reacted much to like the kind of scare moments, but this thing is jump scare city. I just remember sitting in the theater like, the only thing I'm on edge about is like another thing is jumping out and saying boo at me.
Well...
There was no suspense.
Like
there was
this
no real
shot
atmosphere.
is shot, literally shot for shot.
Shot for shot. Yeah.
Minus the blue bath pillow.
Yeah, but it's all everything.
I mean, with the knock and the drop down,
it's the exact
beat for beat.
It's like, what are you doing?
You can't have your cake and eat it too, is my problem.
Right.
And the parts that are...
And then that doesn't even lead to anything. At least in the first one...
There was a whole sequence.
The whole sequence.
Why did we do that?
Again, it's the same thing from earlier with the wall gag.
Right.
What was the point? It served us nothing.
And so we've got the tale of two stories here, right? We've got the story that's different and the story that's the same.
Right.
And the parts that are different rely really heavy on bad CGI.
Yeah.
And all the characters feel the same. There's no atmosphere.
No.
We don't care about the characters.
No.
And therefore, it's almost like that is the lowest common denominator scenes.
Right.
And the scenes then that people remember and care about are the ones that are the copycats of the original.
Yeah.
So is she in fact still dreaming from in the bathtub? It must be, right?
I guess, but again, it just throws the whole thing. It's like, what? If she's still asleep when the claw comes up, and she's still asleep when the claw goes down, what's the point of the sequence?
Right, and when did she fall back asleep?
Right. Context. Context is king. You can't navigate the story if there's not enough context to understand what's happening, why things are happening. It follows on too much from the sequels where it's just like, it's too amorphous of an idea. They like, we'll just throw in things. It doesn't matter if we have any clue about when they fell asleep, who's asleep, who's dreaming, whatever is happening. Just do whatever, whenever.
What is Freddy's motivation? If it's to just kill people, but yet he's leaving Nancy alive based on something apparently that happened when they were younger.
Right.
She was younger, so she is still dreaming.
And the film is an hour 35, so we passed the halfway point. There's no pivot point yet.
He didn't die in his sleep. He had something burst through his chest. Like, had you made it look like his inmate killed him or something, that would have been something.
Right.
But I don't care. It also doesn't appear that these two people care that their friend is dead either, by the way.
Oh, yeah, we've hit that enough times on slasher films, like, oh, your best friend died or your father just died. Just blank expression.
Right.
No reaction.
know about you, but I remember the preschool that I went to.
Yeah.
And I'm a lot older than these people who just went to preschool
All right.
10 years prior, whatever.
Roughly.
Not even. No, it wouldn't. I don't.
12, 13 years maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, if she's supposed to be 16,
Right.
that's 12 years maybe before.
Roughly, yeah.
The house and the street number would have been plenty. Like, that would have been a nice little nod, because then you could watch it, and if you didn't know the original film, you wouldn't even notice.
Right.
And if you do know the original film, then you go, oh, that's nice.
Yeah. Give a little touch back to the original, but still went in your own direction.
Right. But now we're up to at least 4 items, 5, that are literally direct copycat, shot for shot.
Yeah. I mean, I guess this is them creeping up on a pivot point in the story, a midpoint, to understand their connection overall.
How do these people not remember that?
Which, the big problem, as I'm sure you were alluding to earlier, where the backstory goes, and it's an entire goddamn red herring.
Yes.
It's fucking wasted time in the story for no reason.
Now, I will say, I don't remember now anybody that I was in preschool with.
Piss all no.
But I do remember people that I went to high school with. Now,
Yeah.
granted, it's...
Yeah, me too. I remember people
Well, what...
I mean, most people I was with elementary school, most of them went on to the same high school as me.
Sure,
so I
right.
don't remember from that far back.
Especially in a small town, right?
Yeah.
That's a nice little trick. I
And even
like
then,
that.
it's like they still all know each other now. It's not like they knew each other back then, they all drift apart and they have no relation now. They all still know each other. They're all connected from one person to the next.
Right. So even the white girls jump roping, like, we didn't need that.
No.
The little garden tool, I guess, is kind of an homage to the original.
Yeah,
right?
it's them kind of saying, oh, that's the impetus of the claw.
Right, but it's also the same little tool that Rod uses in the backyard.
Oh, yeah. And some of this is also what they did in Freddy's Dead, showing the further backstory back to when he had the child and everything.
Right.
Someone's dressed the exact same way Robert is in those flashbacks with the green shirt.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I love a side pony. Heck yeah. Because this would have been in the 80s.
Yeah, I would say so.
If the movie is set in 2010.
Yeah. Not even. It'd be the 90s.
Oh, you're right, the 90s. See, that's how much I don't like the 90s. I just pretend it doesn't exist. So, the idea right here is that Fred Krueger, at the preschool, was molesting these children, yes?
That's the idea, yes.
That's what they're saying.
Yes.
Do you recall the, I don't know, internet backlash around the time this movie came out? And they were like, can you believe they made him a child molester? Like, that is such a taboo thing. You can't do that. And all
that
of
was
us,
Wes's original idea. He just kind of backed off on it because there's too much heat about it.
and all of us went, he was that the whole time? Thank you.
I mean, you watch that prologue in Freddy vs. Jason where it's like, adds as much of an implication as possible, where he's being a little salacious. He's got the little kid there. The flashback sequence, like,
So they ended up just saying, Marge says he was a filthy child murderer.
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of went around, they changed the word molester to murderer. Not to say that this guy didn't
Right.
murder,
Well,
because clearly all of these kids are still alive today,
right.
even if he molested all of them.
All right.
Which then begs the question, why is he murdering them now?
All right.
I don't know. I just remember there being such outrage at the implication that he was a molester.
Yeah. All the things you get upset about with this film.
Sure.
I mean, in a way, I kind of get it. Okay, Freddy is such an icon, and the later films made him into a jokey character, and he's much more pop culture icon, and now, I don't know. You're splitting hairs at this point.
Well, again, like, if you want to embellish the story of him being a molester, at least that's different, right?
Yeah.
If you want to go down that road,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like they're trying to be different, but relying on the original source material. And then in the parts where they're different, it's all just bland.
Right.
And a lot of the work that they put in was to remake the scenes from the original, not
Right.
to embellish the things that are new.
Mm-hmm.
Who's dreaming right now?
Right.
I'm just curious.
Well, that's the thing. Is like, did he fall asleep in the middle of swimming around? If so, he might be drowning right now. And Freddy doesn't have to do shit about it.
Like, this kind of looks cool.
Yeah.
But... And, you know, a little tank at the boiler room area, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
It looks like Freddy's Revenge.
Sure, and... But now he's gonna dream about this? To what context would he have to...
Knowledge of it.
Right.
Or is it Freddy imposing it upon him so he knows about it? I don't know how that changes anything for Freddy.
I'm just curious when and how he fell asleep.
Yeah. At least they got some boxy sedans. Get some era-appropriate stuff to a degree.
Well, you know me in a boxy sedan.
Cadillac
I like it. Connie Britton doesn't look a day younger or older than...
Right.
Neither
But,
does...
I think
what's his name there?
Clancy. I wasn't sure if it was the lighting or what. If they put some color in his hair or something. Hard to tell with the color grading on this film.
If he didn't do it, why did he run away?
Yeah.
Like, I'm curious what scenario led to him running down the road with 7 cars trailing behind him. You know what I mean? Like, how did that scene start?
Yeah.
She just said what the right way is. Call the police. Is there proof that he did any of this?
Right, it's not like the original where, like, hey, he got arrested, and they got through it. There was a technicality or whatnot, and they couldn't prosecute or convict him or something. I think that was the case.
Yeah.
And
right, somebody didn't sign something.
And the vigilante justice jumps in.
Right.
Now it just... Let's just jump right to the conclusion.
Like, this is very weird that the is it Jesse there? Is that his name?
No, Jesse was Dekker.
Oh, okay. whatever this guy's name is, like how and why he's asleep, why he has knowledge of this event. Quentin. So you're selling me the idea that he fell asleep while he was swimming?
Is he narcoleptic? That'd be an interesting angle to take. You know, doing the fucking breaststroke in the middle of the day, you don't just like zonk out at the middle of the thing.
I mean,
it just doesn't happen.
No, it's not like he was sitting
like
on
someone pulled the plug on him in the middle of the breaststroke.
or sitting on the bench waiting for his round.
That was something, yeah, but not in the middle of the freaking pool while you're doing laps with everyone.
And now she happens to find like a YouTube video, or I guess it's his personal website.
Vlog.
It feels like a lot of exposition right here, right? Maybe not exposition, but like convenient storytelling.
Probably, yeah. I mean, it doesn't really, I don't see how it really kind of progresses the stories. Like, they already have this information. Enough people died under the same circumstances for them to compile this information without having to watch some guy's vlog that we haven't heard about up to this point.
Well, she's just going down the list to find out what happened to apparently everyone that isn't her friends.
Right. I don't know. We've had enough with the people we've already been introduced to compile the evidence. I don't see why we have to go through more stuff with people we haven't even been introduced to get more evidence. That's the same with the other evidence.
Yeah, I enjoy that.
Yeah, it's like someone's coming alive in the scene finally.
Right. This is the first scene where I actually care.
Yeah.
He's right. We were 5.
Feels like
Go
the
to
first
the
time
police.
when the actors actually care what they're doing in the scene.
Now, if you don't know that he was killed because he was guilty, you also don't know that he was killed because he was innocent.
Right.
Like, isn't the fact that Clancy jumped to the conclusion he was guilty equally egregious to the fact that the son is jumping to the conclusion he's innocent?
Right.
Like
with what evidence?
Right. We have no evidence either way.
There's no nothing. Yeah, so do you want to crack this one open then?
Go ahead.
The whole misdirection thing.
Well,
that we're belaboring this entire point of going towards a trajectory, making it
there's
seem
a
like
copycat shot.
Bullshit. But going towards this entire point where we're like driving into hell, like we're going in a different trajectory. Like in this continuity, Freddy was the innocent one, and he's getting revenge on the people who tried to kill him. Which is an interesting way to go, but since they swerve it back around, like, we're wasting our time on the story that goes nowhere.
Well, also, why is he not going after the parents?
Right, go with the parents. They're the ones who killed you. Yeah. It forces us to argue about the idea of the story because it's trying to implant the idea into the characters and the audience. But you look back on Freddy's performance in the entire film, like he's salacious, he's sadistic. That's not the action of someone who's wrongfully accused.
Right.
The performance doesn't lend it towards that, so it's like it's just a badly chosen direction in the story.
And if little Nancy was just being molested,
right?
Why was her dress slashed?
Right.
And why would the mom keep the dress in the attic for her to find?
Right, burn the sucker.
Like, I don't understand. So Freddie had a glove back then, and he was using it for what purpose? To molest people with?
Yeah, at least with the murder thing. Got a glove, it's a murder weapon.
Right. Like, if you want to molest the kids and then kill them, that's different.
Right. A bunch of half-thought-out ideas at best.
Right. It was made to be a good visual. And yes, a dress with slash marks through it is a good visual because they did it in 1984. Not because it's a good idea now.
Right. And it's interesting. They changed like almost all the other character names, but she's still Nancy, but she's Nancy Holbrook, not Nancy Thompson.
Right.
But then it's not Rod, it's Jesse. It's not Tina, it's Chris. What?
You got to have the word Nancy in there because you got to elicit thoughts of the original.
Yeah, it's just half you do, half you don't.
I always thought it was interesting since we're talking about naming Rooney Mara. So she comes from the Mara family, which are a long line of billionaires, and they are the owners of the New York Football Giants, if I'm not mistaken.
There you go.
And if I'm also not mistaken, the Rooney family is the family that owns the Pittsburgh Steelers, and those two gentlemen and families were original founders of the National Football League here in the United States and have been friends for generations.
Yeah.
To the point when this child was born, they honored their friends and co-football owners
forefathers,
by naming her Rooney after the Rooney family, which I always thought was super interesting. Yeah, the glove is kind of like, the glove doesn't really play a role in the story. It's just there to be...
Yeah, for iconography's sake.
Right. And...
I mean, again, visual-wise, I mean, they do a lot of good things in the whole film, like this sequence.
There's your twitchy.
Yeah, I like that little twitchy thing. It's at least something different he's kind of adding into the performance. And it's kind of a taunting thing in that regard, but...
Why would he want her to wake up?
Right.
If he wants her to wake up... Because, again, the end game's not to kill her, it's to molest her? What is his motivation here?
Right, but if she's awake, then you can't do anything to her.
Right, like in the One Dream sequence, he licked her face, which was super creepy.
Yeah,
like,
sure.
And I get it. Like, and that was kind of at the time, it was a precursor to what we know now as he apparently was licking her when she was 5.
Yeah.
They don't go into detail, clearly.
No.
So we don't know to the extent that he was doing anything, but maybe he wasn't, because according to the one kid, he never even did it. So which avenue are we going?
It's absurdly baffling.
Right, like we're circle jerking now.
Right, you're wasting everyone's time. Is what I said. Why would you do that? Introduce a plot element that would subvert what you think about the villain to just say, "Oh no, you're wrong the entire time."
But then have actions of that character support both narratives.
It's fucking terrible. It's so fucking bad. I mean, we've criticized enough the sequel scripts. I mean, some of them were churned out in a fucking weekend, if best. Sometimes it felt like.
So obviously, Dream Child is a great idea.
Yeah.
Okay? And Dream Child was killed by rushing of the script and the MPAA.
Yeah.
They didn't have a chance to flesh out the story they wanted to tell.
Finesse it.
Which, had they been given one more year...
6 months even.
Could have been as good as 3.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Sure.
Now, 4, again, was rushed. And 4 is way better than 5.
Yeah. I think Rennie saved it. Rennie saved it with his visuals so much and his creativity for these sequences.
Had you been able to spend another 6 months on that one, it could have also been even better.
Exceptional as well, yeah. Just
like
they kept falling backwards into it because we're New Line. We don't have that much money. This is the only thing that's making us money. So make more of it now.
Right. So we've criticized sequels.
Yeah. So
but
I'm just throwing it out there like, not the other ones aren't blemish free. They got plenty of fucking problems. The sequel wise. 2, 4, 5, 6.
Right, they all have issues. And we're not criticizing this one just for the sake of criticizing
right.
it. I hope that everyone that's made it this far, and there are fans of this movie, I do see it posted online.
Sure, I'm sure. I mean, someone had to buy the fucking discs, you know?
There are people that enjoy this one for whatever reason you enjoy it for.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't want people to think we're shitting on it just to shit on it. I hope that people have been following along with our logic.
Analyses.
And our perspective.
Yeah.
And
I mean, we're giving enough credit in some places here. It's like, you got some good ideas here, some good visuals, some elements that work for it, but you're constantly cutting yourself off the knees by just replicating what was done ages beforehand.
I hope that some people out there that like this movie, like, we're not trying to bait you into arguments in the comment section.
Right.
I would legit like to have a discussion in the comment section right below.
Right.
If you are a fan of this movie, and like, I don't want to just try to argue with you.
Yeah, just a discussion.
I'm willing to discuss.
A versus B.
Please, tell me some things you like about this movie.
What does it for you?
Right. And I'm all ears. I'm willing. Now, if it's, you wanted to have a different angle on this, and you wanted to go down this different road, and you wanted to okay, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
But
again,
there's your scene.
That's the sequence. Like, that's another jump scare.
And another direct copy of something that's already been done. If you want...
Well, it's something that's been done in like 100 horror movies, not just anything in Elm Street. It's just a trope. Like the screener was saying, he wanted to get away from trying to play into tropes. He wanted to try and do something different, fresh, more imaginative.
I can't imagine anyone that watches this movie and likes it a lot, prefers this version to other sequels. I can't imagine that you can justify the copy-paste
mentality.
Right. And now if you can, let's talk about that. I'm ready.
For fuck's sake.
What? Go ahead.
His t-shirt.
Yeah?
It says in different lines, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. 3, 4. It's on his shirt. In the white shot, see? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Why?
Like, what?
Have we even heard the nursery rhyme at this point?
Well, what we have heard is Fred Krueger counting down.
I heard the countdown.
Because that was more of a hide and go seek thing.
Sure.
It was not relative to the jump rope game, which, if it's not relative to the jump rope game, why have we shown the kids playing jump rope?
Right.
FYI. Again.
Right.
You can't reference the source material but not back it up.
Right.
Like, that's not an homage. Like, that was a story element, right?
Right.
The song was a jump rope game. Mm-hmm. Or a jump rope song.
It's a cautionary
right.
fable in a way.
Sure. But having it in there just as a reference point to something that you're trying to tell me doesn't exist doesn't work for me. And this is what? Fred's, apartment or lair?
Yeah.
That is now 12 or 13 years past and nobody's touched?
Yeah.
How does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Well, why would this still look like this?
Right.
Wherever it is.
Yeah, because isn't this part of the freaking preschool?
Undetermined. It might be part of the boiler room.
Yeah, something. I don't know.
Because it did kind of look like that's where they were. But even so, if the boiler room is closed, then maybe that is the explanation, right? Like they shuttered the boiler room.
Possibly.
And whatever little sublet apartment, which there's only one, and Fred lived there? I don't know. I don't know about that. But if he worked at
But then where did he get burned up at?
Well, here.
And this place is burned to a cinder?
And also, if he worked at a preschool, why is there a boiler room?
Right. When it was a preschool, have a boiler room.
Right. The premise of the boiler room is that's where he worked.
Yeah.
And that's where he took his children after hours.
Yeah. Right.
And that's where they found him and burned him.
Yeah.
What does the preschool have to do with the boiler room?
Right.
And what does this have to do with either place? Do you see why we're so angry about this movie?
Preschools are very small buildings.
Right.
A boiler room is for a very large complex. Like your high school would have a boiler room.
Fun fact, we're going to talk about a boiler room in our next movie.
Yeah, huh?
Our next commentary coming later this month. Or should I say, the lack of a boiler room. Oh, okay, what kind of trash you got for me now? Drawings, Polaroids, okay. Here we go. Polaroids of him diddling kids, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe, with or without a knife. There's the weird clown thing behind him, like, what is that about? Like, I get that he was obsessed with one girl, because he said my number one girl or whatever. Which I guess could explain why he's not trying to kill her now, but
Yeah.
it's thin. Relative to all the other premises that have been, like, pushed forward and then debunked.
Right.
And then somewhat fueled and then somewhat glossed over.
Right. Everyone else has been killed, like, almost outright. For her, he's playing games with.
Because he liked her the most.
Right.
And why would he want us to remember now?
Yeah.
I'm very confused.
Because now they're just revealing, hey, all the stuff you just spent the last 20 or so minutes screwing around in the story for, you were all wrong the whole time. Chasing your tails around, wasting valuable story time on something that amounted to nothing.
Well, so the revenge part of it was targeted against the wrong people.
Right. If you have the backstory that he was a child murderer that hits him continuing on his work. Now it's just revenge against people because he thinks that the kids told on him and
the kids made it up, right? The kids made up the story that he was a molester, which they both can't be true. Either they made it up and I don't know. Like, you can't have it both ways.
You can't be playing with it for this long in the story without a definitive stamp on it, is the thing. You're 15 minutes from the end of the end credits.
By the way, that's the first time that they've kissed.
Had a romantic connection.
Which, I think, they were supposed to be romantic the whole time? Or no? I don't know.
I don't...
Maybe not. Maybe
like no one's got much of a spark in this film to really kind of grab any chemistry.
Like the events of this have brought them together, and oh, by the way, here's some Polaroids of her being diddled as a kid. That makes me want to kiss you.
Yeah,
like
it's tone deaf. That shirt's driving me nuts right now with that fucking.
With the
crap.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah. What the fuck?
Oh shit.
I mean, it's back in the touching the fan service thing. It's like there's no need for it. I feel like a lot of these freaking people just like they rely on this fan service stuff because they can't just settle on writing a good, compelling story that works and stands on its own. They're too insecure about everything. They're like, we don't throw a bunch of stuff that seems super familiar and plays on the fandom of the franchise.
Now,
no one's gonna like what we do.
I will say though, much like the address thing, had they not done now 6 or 7 shot-for-shot copies,
Right.
including the jump rope, if all of that was gone,
Right.
and he had 1, 2, 3, 4 on his shirt, that wouldn't bother you as much.
That might play better.
It wouldn't bother you as like it is now. Because it would actually be, like, especially if the shirt had something else on it where you could pick up.
If it had more of a context, but it's just these random numbers that you know exactly what the context is, but doesn't have put any context within
the story,
the digestive narrative before you.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Why does he have this shirt?
That's what I'm saying. Like, if all the other things weren't there as a reminder,
Yeah.
then that would be a little, oh, hey,
It'd be more of a
little
curious
Easter egg.
type of thing.
It'd be a little Easter egg.
Sure. It would be, again, it'd be better if there was like more of a design to it and just more of a, it's more woven into something else.
Right. Then
Instead of
blatant just listing numbers.
Here's just the numbers that tell you exactly, that you know exactly what it's about.
Now, they're keeping with the hide-and-go-seek thing, which is fine. Also, I will say, another thing that they squandered here was the Pied Piper of Hamelin, okay? Because they had the whole scene in the bookstore where the Quentin character explains the Pied Piper and the children and all of that, right? Like, they could have played up to that, like, more into that, like they did in New Nightmare with Hansel and Gretel.
Sure.
And made it a theme of the movie.
Right. Wes was such a guy who was so educated and wove such interesting primordial themes into these stories. He was such a man of just a scholarly man who had a understanding of human nature and psychology and all these different things of lore and mythology to weave into these stories to make them so rich overall. And then they don't seem to realize, they don't have to do the same thing, but realize there's a lot of things out there they could weave into a story with these types of elements, and there's not thematic material.
And I would like to reiterate that there's far too much visibility.
Oh yeah, he's way too.
Right, that's good.
That's fine, but earlier I was like, it's all just
close
all
up.
light all the time, all over him.
And the talking, there's too much dialogue.
Right.
Freddy doesn't say a ton in the original film.
No. And the only way that, and like, not much what he's saying is particularly all that scary. It's just like how he's performing it is the way they
boo.
think it's
They
going to
literally
make it.
said boo.
Right, boo. Fuck it.
Oh, I'm shocked they didn't do the
Mushy
stairs.
there. Oh, man,
Oh, well,
they spoke
okay.
too soon. Too soon.
This is more like the beginning of 3, though, where she's running through the hall.
Yeah.
It's a little of both, but...
Right.
And then they literally just took the same line.
Right. Ugh.
There's your Twitchy, which I
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
There, it looks like Carrie.
Mm-hmm. Now more CGI.
Which is kind of a nod to Tina and to Glenn
Yeah.
with the big vat of blood.
Yeah. I'm just...
And the ceiling
it's
drop.
exhausted me now.
And
I mean, it's
who was it? Which film was it where somebody...
Joey in 4 with the
No,
butt?
that ends up in the in the outfit from in part 6.
Oh yeah.
The main character, Lisa Zane.
Yeah, Lisa Zane.
Ends up in the school, her childhood outfit.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
I mean, and the tragic thing is, like, this is the prime franchise to do whatever your imagination comes up with.
Right.
There's no boundaries.
Which is the whole reason that it's the best franchise.
Right. Instead, the imagination is largely vacant because it's just repeating the greatest hits. Again, it's all like a lot of those recent Halloween films. We're just going to replicate a lot of the stuff. We're going to cherry pick a bunch of ideas, slap them in there, into the compilation CD.
The Friday the 13th remake is outstanding.
Yes.
For that reason. Because
they found a way to take those in, but wrapped it in a very good story and found an organic way for everything to come together without drawing attention to itself.
Right. Even the Chainsaw remake does a lot of the right things.
And it's smart enough to not do the wrong things. The dinner scene and stuff like that. It's like, this smells like, no, I can't even approach what Tobe Hooper did in that scene. There's no way I can even touch that.
Right, because if you try, it will be less than. There's no way
exactly what the prequel did, and it was extremely less than.
Right.
I mean, it is a thing that kind of compared to that Friday reboot, where again, they did kind of remake and take elements from like the first 4 Friday films. And so they still were kind of doing something along those lines of cherry-picking ideas, but there's such a way, it just feels like there's a much better execution about it. So it doesn't seem so blatant and obvious. Like when we were doing our commentary before, it's like, there was a lot of points like, they were wrapping the chain around, I was like, yeah, that's like part 6, part 7, chain around the neck thing.
Right.
But it wasn't like, it was wrapped up in a sequence that had emotional stakes and physical stakes and various other things, and a fairly good narrative that's like, you're wrapped up in the action. It's not drawing attention like, let's stop the film and let you see we're redoing an entire sequence from the previous film.
I just rewatched, a friend of mine had not seen the Rob Zombie Halloween.
Okay.
And I showed it to her.
Sure.
And every time I watch it, God damn it, does it get better. There is 20 or 25 minutes of a backstory that make you empathetic to adult Michael Myers.
Okay.
Like, it is so... Again, there are some of the same beats, but they're done in a way within the context of the story and his vision of the story that completely make it you react differently to it, you know? And
I mean, I'll give respect to Zombie for not just like shot for shot doing this. The back half of that film does much more of that, but he's changed a lot of characterizations in that film and stuff like that. Even though I'm not a fan of how he writes characters, I at least give him some credit that he at least did just go off and do this.
Right.
A bunch of half-baked ideas, and the other half of the film is just copy and paste sequences from the original.
Right. I mean,
he
obviously...
tried his own style, his own stamp on the ideas.
Yeah, I mean, there are... Obviously, it's the same kind of basic story.
Right.
Oh, boy. What? So he pulled her out? I was talking about Rob Zombie.
She pulled him out.
Yeah, okay. That's what I meant.
Because he stabbed her with the adrenaline needle.
Got it. But again... What? Oh, God. All right. The scene in the original, in the Kacha Dream Institute...
Sure.
Where she reveals that she pulls the head out of the bed, out of the dream.
Yeah.
Gives me goosebumps to this day.
Sure.
I pulled something out of my dream, she says. Like, that was an oh my God moment in that movie. Which then leads to the idea that
her proactiveness in the story.
And for her approach to the end game.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know. Like, all of that is lost on here. They had the scene earlier where she pulled the little ripped piece of sweater.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a revelation.
It wasn't towards a plan they had. They were
right.
Seemed they're kind of falling backwards into trying to figure out what to do about the whole thing.
Right. Like, Nancy pulling the hat was an accident, which we didn't even see, by the way. And that led to a decision to take action later.
Right.
None of that was present right here. Which then means that the only reason they did it was to homage the original, not for the sake of the current story.
And it's not like they changed any of the rules of the whole thing either. It's like they still take this... Like, sometimes... Like, I mean, they had that Hellraiser reboot a few years ago. Not the greatest thing in the world. It was all right. But, like, I had to remind myself watching, okay, it's a reboot. We're wiping away all the rules, so they have brand new rules for how everything works the whole
Which
thing.
is what I tried to do for this.
Right. So...
And what we did for Chainsaw, and for Friday, and for Halloween. Like, all of them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The problem is, if Chainsaw...
I remember what happens here, yeah. Oh, that blood looks awful.
Yeah.
What a dull thud of an ending.
Which, everyone knows... Well, maybe they don't if they've not watched my original, that my theory is, in the original movie, there's the scene where Nancy tucks herself in, right? It's like the poster shot, right?
Yeah, yeah.
She tucks herself in. To me, that's where the movie ends.
Yeah.
She goes to sleep. Everything after that's a dream, including the coda. And so we don't know what happens.
Right.
All of that doesn't exist here.
Right.
Because that ending... is while she's awake, confirmed.
Yeah.
Because it's like the next day.
Yeah.
Or whatever. I mean, yes, in the original it's the next day. But
she's been to the hospital, she's gotten out, and all that stuff. It's a long, protracted sequence.
So, again, like, the jump scare ending with killing the mom doesn't mean anything.
It's just sequel bait.
Right. Which, thank Christ, they never did.
Fuck all.
Now... If you look at the big four of horror, right?
Yeah.
You've got your Nightmare, your Friday, your Halloween, your Chainsaw.
Yeah.
All four have been remade now.
Yeah.
And 3 of them were successful.
Sure.
1 was not.
Yeah.
The one that was not, the one that
creatively successful.
We appreciate everyone sitting for the last hour and a half with us for... I think it made $35 million or something.
This one had a $35 million budget. It made $117 million.
Oh, okay. Well, so it was successful.
All of them made bank, but in terms of creative success, I don't think that this one is not. At all.
I think the other 3.
At least the zombie one got a sequel.
Right. I mean, he made it himself, but yeah.
I'm just saying.
And the Chainsaw one...
At least they greenlit a sequel off the back of the success of what he did there.
The Chainsaw one also got a prequel.
Chainsaw got a prequel. Friday had just been tangled up in Wright's hell for Dark Ages now.
But if you poll the average horror fan, the other 3 are viewed positively.
Yeah.
In the canon of horror films.
The Friday one's definitely got a lot more reassessment over the years, and people have warmed up for it even more.
Right. Chainsaw one was pretty much beloved since day one. Zombies Halloween was polarizing, but I think it still is polarizing.
At least polarizing is something. This one just can't even get that much of a reaction out of people.
Right. It's just apathy or disgust, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like disdain, contempt.
Contempt, yeah.
There is some contempt to the Halloween one.
Where the fact that people are just saying, Robert's not coming back, period.
Right.
It's too old now. He said, I can't do the stunt work. I can't do all that kind of stuff. I can't do that anymore.
Well, that's part of the problem.
But the fact that people kept saying, like, we just want Robert back.
In the other
one more time.
In the other 3, you don't need speaking roles.
Right.
You don't need an actor.
Yeah.
Whereas this one you do.
Yeah.
Therefore, it's almost impossible to replicate, and the expectations are going to be low. Unless you say, never mind, wipe the slate, we're going to tell you a new story. Come with us on a journey.
Redevelopment all over the place.
Come with us on this journey. New journey.
If you're doing this, you need someone like a Mike Flanagan, a
Sure.
Maybe a James Wan, maybe whoever else is like
Flanagan would have been fantastic.
A top level type of guy. Even Aja. I think there was talks a few years ago that Alexandre Aja was toying around with approaching the Craven estate about a remake. Hasn't gone anywhere, but there was at least something because he did the thing with Rick Haven on Hills of Eyes and everything. So
honestly, if somebody new were to come along and say, "Let's do this again,"
yeah,
I'm going to take a mulligan on this one. Let's start over.
Right.
I will embrace it the same way that I like my open eyes that I went in.
Because especially now, you're not just dealing with a studio. You have to get permission from the Craven and say they have the rights again.
Right.
To produce new films.
Main title and jump rope.
So
Charlie Bernstein. Yeah, Charlie Bernstein gets a little love. Thank God.
A little cash on the side.
Illinois Film Office. Yay! I'm sorry that everyone... So, it took us 9 years.
Yeah.
We said we'd never do it. Hell is frozen over.
Yeah. There's no bottom left.
No. And I'm actually...
There wasn't much of a bottom after Jason X either, so...
Well, that might
took us a good 6 years to get past that
might be the worst movie I've ever seen.
Sure.
Even this has things to praise. And Jason X...
Good technical qualities on a lot of different elements, yeah.
Jason X just has the one cryo-freeze death scene. Right. That's it. It's a one-shot show.
It's a YouTube clip, not a movie.
Yeah, one-shot show.
So,
I'm happy we did this.
Yeah, got out of our system. We don't have to complain about it no more.
All right, please.
I don't have to keep talking about going back through 200 commentaries to clip out all the little snippets of remarks we had for a compilation.
Let's talk about it in the comments. I can't wait. Let's duke it out. Not duke it out. Let's discuss.
Let's have a discussion and kind of throw it around a little bit, but not in an uncivilized way.
Yes. All right. We will see you next time. Happy 15 years of this trash. Thank you for tolerating it and us and all of it. We appreciate you.
Take care, guys. Bye.